it, but I'm blessed. Didn't know it'd take me past my destiny. You're behind me with the rest, 'cause I'm a mess. No more you.
Hey guys, I'm just here in the kitchen cooking dinner, and I thought you guys might want to join me. I have a recipe for you today that I learned from a Spanish friend of ours. In our family, we call it hot rice, but it's just like a Mexican or Spanish style rice, and it's kind of spicy, so that's why we call it hot rice. But I think I remember her, the lady that we learned the recipe from. I remember her. She used to work with my mom, and they became good friends, and she had a daughter around my age, and we became good friends. So like if I wasn't feeling good or anything, she would always make this rice for me and send it home and tell my mom, you know, to give it to me, that it would make me feel better. And so I take it as, in their culture, it's kind of like chicken noodle soup, you know, like how my mom makes what she calls stewed chicken, and it's something that when I'm not feeling well, I make it, and it makes me feel that it's just comfort food. Just tastes good, and it just warms you inside. So, and it's kind of equivalent to this recipe for Spanish people. So I'm gonna make it, and I want you guys to make it too. So what I have here, I got 2 small. It's 8 altogether. It's, well, actually 9. There's 9 chicken drumsticks here. Oh, actually it's 10. They're kind of small. There's 10 drumsticks here, and I'm gonna rinse them. They're kind of still frozen a little bit, but I'm gonna be boiling it, so it's not gonna make that big a difference about it being frozen, a little frozen. But I'm gonna rinse it off real good. I hadn't rinsed it yet. Rinse it off real good and season it. And once I season it, I'm gonna boil it. And you wash your chicken. People say, there are people who say don't wash your chicken. Well, I don't believe in that. I mean, I disinfect my sink and around my sink every day. So I'm gonna rinse my chicken off. I don't believe in that. I always like to rinse off my meat. So what you're gonna do is just rinse off your meat. Put it in a good size stock pot. The reason they say don't wash it is because it splatters. The water will splatter up around the sink and everything, but I always disinfect my sink every time I wash dishes, which is daily, so I'm not going to worry about that. Yeah, so anyway, now I've been handling the raw chicken, so I'm gonna wash my hands with soap. I'm going to turn you guys and let you see. I'm gonna let you see everything I'm doing, so I'm gonna be turning you and showing you different things. Cause for some reason I'm having to. I don't think I have it set to where it's, you know, showing. It's kind of showing close up, so I'm gonna have to turn you guys until every time I do it. So I'm gonna wash my hands real good because I was handling that raw chicken, and you don't want to transfer any bacteria to anything else. So it's very important to wash your hands after you handle any kind of raw meat, especially chicken. So yeah, wash them real good, dry them. So yeah, I'll be turning you guys and lifting you up and putting you down and all of that while I'm cooking. So okay, so I've got my hands all washed and cleaned again. So now I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna season my chicken. And I'm just gonna use believe it or not, just salt and pepper to begin with here. So I'm gonna move this stuff over. And I'm gonna just salt and pepper my chicken. I kind of want you to see what I'm doing here, if I can fix it to where I can. Let's see if that's good. Yeah. Okay, so I'll tilt it. You see they're all in there, and I just want to salt it to where everything gets covered. And I'm not going to turn it over or anything, because I don't want to recontaminate my hands with raw chicken. So, and then touch this. I don't want to do that. So I'm just using salt, and I'm kind of heavy on pepper on just about everything I cook. So if I want to turn this over, I can just get some tongs and turn them over to make sure that everything gets seasoned real good. But you want to season it real good. Not too much, because you don't want to make it salty. So, and this is just the way she did it. And so I always do it the same way she taught us how to do it. You know, we went to her house a couple of times and she showed us how to make it a couple of times. So yeah, I'm just gonna turn these over with tongs to make sure I get everything covered with seasonings. You don't wanna, miss any spots or anything. These are some pretty small. I don't like the real big ones anyway, so I don't like the real big drumsticks, so this will work for me. Sprinkle again with salt, liberally, but not too much. You don't want to overdo it, because if it's salty, then it'll mess up the whole thing. So yeah, just salt and pepper it real good. I use McCormick, just about everything I use is McCormick. Now, what I will do, and you'll see when the chicken is done and the rice is done, I'm just putting salt and pepper on it now for it to boil. But once it boils and once it gets done and I put it on top of the rice, I will season it some more, put some more different seasonings on it. And you'll see, you'll love it. You guys will love this dish. You need to really seriously try it. It's a really good one. So now I'm gonna just fill this with water, and I don't want to fill it too much, because if I fill it too much, it'll take my chicken taste away. It'll be watery. You don't want that, because the chicken taste is what you're looking for. So what I'm gonna do is, let me see, get you where you can see again. I'm just gonna put it, fill it just enough to kind of cover the, try not to rinse all of your seasoning away, but just kind of put water in it on the side, if that makes sense. Put it on the side and just kind of, you can kind of eyeball how much water would be enough for this amount of chicken. You don't want to cover it completely, just bring it up to the chicken. And I'll show you what that looks like. Cover it to the amount of the chicken. And then you want to put it on a high temperature at first until it starts to boil. High until it boils. I'll show you. Put it on high until it starts to boil. Once it starts to boil, then you turn it down on a lower temperature and cover it and just let it boil for about an hour or an hour and a half or so. Just however long an hour at least. It can be more than an hour, but you want to cook it for at least an hour. Especially being drumsticks, because they're kind of thick. These are small, but drumsticks are generally pretty thick, so you want to cook it till it's done all the way through. And it usually takes an hour. I just always cook it for an hour. And if they're bigger, then I'll cook them for a little longer than an hour. So it just depends on the size of your drumsticks, how long you cook them. So yeah, the other things you'll need rice, of course, since it is a rice dish. You'll need rice. You'll need a can of Rotel tomatoes. You can do mild, you can do original, you can do hot if you want to do hot and make it spicier. You can do that. It's pretty spicy because we put the jalapeno, a whole jalapeno in there, and I just kind of slit it so that the heat can get out. One jalapeno, and then you want like not really a half piece of onion, but a good sized piece of onion. It's not really a half, it's just a little less than a half. And you'll also need some cooking oil. And this is something that I put. If my chicken, like, I don't know what it is about chicken these days, but some chicken is just not, doesn't have that chickeny taste, or it's kind of watery. I mean, you know, it just doesn't, the broth that the chicken makes is just not very chickeny. So if it's not, then this right here is what you need. This is something you want to keep in your pantry because it's a lifesaver when it comes to cooking things that you want to taste that chickeny flavor in your broth or soups or whatever. And this right here will do it if it's not, you know, if your chicken's not doing it. Now, like I said, some chicken these days are just a little different than it used to be. It's just not as flavorful as it used to be. My mom says the same thing. It's just like you notice that some chicken is just not, I don't know, chicken these days is just not as, it doesn't make as good a broth as it used to. Like if you were to boil chicken thighs, it makes a little better tasting broth because I think it has more fat in it. Of course, you want to try to stay away from the fat. So in this dish, you can actually use whatever kind of chicken you want. If you want to use chicken breast, you want to use skinless, boneless chicken breast and cut the fat as much as you can, and put some lean meat in there, you can do that. You can do that instead of the drumsticks. Vicky is the lady that I'm speaking of. She always used chicken legs, so that's what I use. But I have made it with chicken breast, like skinless, boneless chicken breast before, and it was good. I mean, just as good. So I just whatever I decide, whichever side I decide to use, I just use whichever one, you know, I decide to use that day. So it's not a big deal, just whatever chicken you like, as long as you boil it and have broth to put in the rice, you know, to make the dish. So it's 7:47 p.m. So about 8:47, that'll be an hour. We'll check on it. If it needs to cook a little longer, we'll do that. So we're gonna wait an hour. Once it starts to boil, like I said, you put it on high. Put it on high until it starts to boil, and then turn it down and let it simmer. Well, I guess a low boil for an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep my jalapeno and the onion. You don't have to cut it up or anything. You just put it in there whole, and you're just trying to get that onion essence, the essence of the onion. And so on the jalapeno, we want to get a little bit of heat, but we don't want it to be too spicy. So we're not gonna cut it up or anything because we don't want the veins to make it too spicy. It's the seeds and the veins and the jalapeno that makes it real spicy. So all I do, let me rinse it first. I'm pretty sure I rinsed it when I came home from the store. I usually prep my stuff when I come home from the grocery store, so I don't have to prep it when I get ready to cook it. And so yeah, you just put it in there whole, like it is. Okay, so again, you just put a slit in it, like maybe on both sides, just so that it has an opening that when you boil, when it's boiling in the rice can kind of, the juice will just kind of go through there and give you a little bit of spice, but it won't be too hot. And again, like I said, the Rotel tomatoes, you can get those hotter if you want. You can get a hot version of those. But this right here is just, you're just gonna peel it. Because it's not, you're not gonna cut it or anything. That's what it calls for, the recipe calls for. It's just like a, pretty much, I would call it a chunk of onion. I mean, I don't know. Just a big piece of onion. And you don't have to cut it up or anything. You just gotta put it in there whole. You're just trying to get that little bit of onion taste. That's all you're doing. So, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to cut it up and dice it or mince it or whatever and put it in there. Some people don't like onion, and I like people that don't like onion though. I would say it'd be better to leave it whole. That way you can take it out. And that's kind of what they do. It's like they'll use it for its flavor and then take it out. But I kind of like it, so I leave mine in. But you know, just up to you. So yeah, it's boiling now. The guys just called, they're on the way home, so I told them it will be about an hour and 15, 20 minutes before dinner is ready. And this is kind of late for me. I usually do dinner a little earlier than this. I'm gonna cover it now. I'm gonna turn it down to probably 2. I mean, I don't know. This is an electric stove, so about 2 on the electric stove. Yeah, so once that's done boiling, we're in business. Okay, so it's done, you guys. It's been an hour. The chicken is done, so it's like I said, these are small, so they only took an hour to cook. So now I'm gonna let that just sit. I'm gonna just leave it on because it's not gonna hurt it to cook a little longer. So now what I'm gonna do is start my rice, the rice part. So yeah, you want to just heat your pan and then add maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. I use canola oil. Depending on how many people you're cooking for, I usually use 2 dry cups of rice, and that's just white rice, just regular white rice. Then I usually just stir the rice and just kind of coat it with the oil that's in the pan. And I just do this until the rice turns a opaque white color.
Watching videos of us. I have been trying to get rid of your stuff, but voices in my head are telling me to stop. It's all I have left, all I have of you. Thought I was more than a body to hold, baby. I wanted you, wanted us to be something more. I was so sure, let my guard down for you. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? I gave you my heart, you tore it apart. Don't know why you had to hurt me like that. Now I'm messed up, drinking non-stop, trying to forget everything we said. I can't seem to get these thoughts out of my head. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? Love me like that. Oh, staying inside in my bed all day long, listening to sad songs and feeling so low, thinking about you and where we went wrong. I wanna know why you let me go. Thought I was more than a body to hold. I wanted you, wanted us to be something. I was so sure, let my guard down for you. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? I gave you my heart, you tore it apart. Don't know why you had to hurt me like that. Now I'm messed up, drinking non-stop, trying to forget you and everything we said. But I can't seem to get these thoughts out of my head. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? Love me like that. Oh. Thought I was more than a body to hold. I wanted you, wanted us to be something. I was so sure, let my guard down for you. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? I gave you my heart, you tore it apart. Don't know why you had to hurt me like that. Now I'm messed up, drinking non-stop, trying to forget you and everything we said. But I can't seem to get these thoughts out of my head. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? Love me like that. Oh.
Okay, so we've reached the opaque stage, and so I'm just going to take the can of Rotel and just stir it into the rice until it's all mixed in. Then the next step is to just pour the broth from the chicken that you boiled. Pour the broth in to cover the rice, and maybe cover it probably over the rice about 1 inch. And it's at this point that you want to add in your onion as well as your jalapeno. And like I said, if you want it to be a little spicier, you might slice the jalapeno. I'm not making it very spicy because Tata is eating with us, so I'm not making it very spicy tonight. But if I want to make it spicy, all I have to do is either cut it in half or just cut it in circles or something to open it up so that the seeds and the ribs are exposed so that the spice comes out. But I'm just doing it with the slit just so that we get a little bit of spice and not too hot. I'm also adding a little black pepper. Usually I put a lot of black pepper on the chicken, and I didn't put a whole lot tonight, so I'm just going to add a little bit of black pepper to the rice. This also helps with the spice. And for a little added flavor, I'm just going to add a little bit of chicken bouillon. Okay, at this point, you just want to turn down your heat and to a low and cover until tender. I'm going to wash the dishes that I dirtied. I like to clean as I go. I'm going to check the rice, and sometimes you guys, if the rice is dry and it's not tender enough, then you may need to add a little bit more of the broth and let it cook a little longer. You guys, you also want to add to the recipe 2 tablespoons of white distilled vinegar, or you can also use the vinegar that comes in the jar of pickled jalapeno peppers.
that vinegar has a lot more spice and a lot more flavor. If you're trying to make your dish a little more spicy, this is another way you can do that. You may have to repeat adding the broth 2 or 3 times until you get the rice the desired texture. You guys, if you hear something in the background, it's the guys watching TV. That's the background noise. Okay, once you've got the rice the desired texture, you just want to add the chicken to the top of the rice. Just kind of put it on top. At this point, the rice is pretty much done. You just want to add the chicken to the top, and I usually sprinkle some more seasonings on top of the chicken after it's done and on top of the rice. I've added the rest of the broth, and I'm just going to let it simmer until the rice dries, and we'll be all done. I'm going to add just a little bit more chicken bouillon just for some added flavor, and I'm going to also put some other seasonings on top of the chicken, just so that the chicken tastes really good. I'm adding a little bit of salt. And guys, I rarely use salt in my dishes, but this recipe calls for salt. A little bit of garlic powder. And I only use McCormick, you guys, on these seasonings. I love McCormick. I'm going to also put a little seasoning on the remaining chicken. I couldn't fit it in the pot. That's the only reason why I didn't put it in the pan with the rice. I couldn't fit it in there. So I'm going to leave it to the side, and I'm just going to season it up. I'm going to also put some granulated garlic powder. This is the California style, McCormick California style garlic powder. It's one of my favorites. Also the California style onion powder. Love it. And a little bit more black pepper. Also McCormick.
supernatural. Keep it factual. You know you're matching back.
And I'm going to recover it. Leave it down on low.
Want you on occasion. I can do you favors that I know you.
Okay guys, here we are. It's all done. Such an easy recipe to make, and also such a great comfort food. You guys are gonna love it. I hope that you guys try this recipe. It's an easy one. It's also delicious and very inexpensive to make. Yeah, so this is one of my favorites. It's one that I've been cooking for a long time. It's a pretty easy one to cook. You guys are going to leave the recipe for this down below in my description box. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit that subscribe button. Also hit your notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a video. And if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up down below. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.